Hey honey boos, today I'll be filming a tutorial on how to make homemade chicken thighs and gravy. The ingredients you will need are 4 chicken thighs, half a stick of salted butter, 3 cups of water, cayenne pepper, black pepper, Johnny seasoning salt, garlic powder, low sodium roasted chicken better than bouillon, 1 medium onion, paprika, and all-purpose flour. Depending on how your chicken thighs were bought, you might have to defrost them, wash them off, and dry them off. I just washed and dried mine. And then in the bowl, combine 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of Johnny's, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and half a teaspoon of black pepper. Once these seasonings are added to the container, stir them together and evenly coat both sides of the chicken thighs and get underneath the skin so every part of the chicken thighs tastes delicious. Once your chicken thighs are seasoned, you can chop up your onion. I chop mine into lengthwise slivers. You can chop yours however you want to. After your chicken thighs are seasoned and your onions are chopped, it's time to brown your chicken thighs. I added 3 tablespoons of the salted butter to a stainless steel pan, waited for the butter to melt, and then browned each side of the chicken thighs for 5 minutes on medium heat. A stainless steel pan will be best for this recipe if you decide you want to whisk your roux. If you don't want to whisk it, you could just use a spoon like I did. At this point, you can preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. After your chicken thighs have browned, take them out of the pan and place them on the plate. Then add your onions to the pan and the rest of the half a stick of butter. Because butter burns easily, only have your heat at medium-low. Cook your onions and butter together until your butter turns into like a caramel brownish color. The longer you cook your onions and butter together, the darker your gravy will be. Once you get your butter to the color that you want, add 6 tablespoons of flour. Mix the butter, onions, and flour together until everything is mixed together thoroughly. Then add 3 cups of water. Once your water is added, you can whisk or stir the ingredients together until there's no lumps and everything is completely smooth. Now it's time to add your chicken better than bouillon and seasonings so that your gravy is flavorful. In total, I added 1 tablespoon of the chicken better than bouillon to my gravy. I added it 1 teaspoon at a time because when you browned your chicken thighs, it left some seasonings in the pan. So depending on how much of the seasonings were left, you might need more or less of the better than bouillon. Along with the 1 tablespoon of better than bouillon, I added 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper and half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Along with this, I added a sprinkle of cayenne for a little bit of spice. This is completely optional. And I also added a splash of kitchen bouquet, which adds a little bit of color to the gravy. I was able to get away with adding 1 tablespoon of better than bouillon because mine was low sodium. But depending on what kind of better than bouillon you use, you might have to use more or less. So I recommend only adding 1 teaspoon at a time so that it doesn't get too salty, because once you add your chicken thighs back to the gravy, the seasoning from the chicken thighs is also going to season the gravy. So you don't want your gravy to be too salty. Once you get your gravy to your liking, add your chicken thighs back to the pan, scoop some gravy on top, and bake in the oven at 425 degrees for 1 hour. When you take your chicken thighs and gravy out of the oven, there will be some separation due to the high temperatures and the drippings from the chicken thighs. To combat this, you can take the chicken thighs out of the pan and add them to a plate, and then stir or whisk the gravy back together. Before adding the chicken thighs back to the pan, whisk or stir together the drippings of the gravy that are left on the plate that you just had the chicken thighs on. When whisking or stirring your gravy back together, do it in a timely manner because gravy tends to thicken up the cooler it gets. If you want to completely avoid gravy separation, you could cook your chicken thighs separate from the gravy at 425 degrees for 1 hour, and then add your chicken thighs to your already made gravy. For presentation purposes, I added the gravy to a non-stick skillet, heated it up back on the stove on medium-low heat, added the chicken thighs back, and this is what it should look like. The chicken thighs are flavorful and fall off the bone, and the gravy is delicious and rich. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.